True peace. Ken's Earth's carbon dioxide levels hits 4.5 million year high. Man, peak the slang. The amount of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere has reached its annual peak, climbing to 419 parts per million in May, according to scientists from Scripps Institution of Oceanography and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Why does it matter? It's the highest CO2 reading since reliable instrument data began 63 years ago, but evidence shows it is also a peak since well before the start of human history. Man, peak the slang. The rate of increase showed no discernible impact from the pandemic-induced economic slowdown, the scientists found. Carbon dioxide is a level-lived greenhouse gas emitted through human activities such as fossil fuel burning, deforestation, and agriculture. Threat level. Not only is CO2 now at its highest levels in human history, but one would have to go all the way back beyond the beginning of human history to the Pliocene epoch between 4.1 to 4.5 million years ago to find a time when Earth's atmospheric held a similar amount of carbon. Data gleaned from ice core records and other indicators of what Earth was like at the time serve as a stark warning for our future on this planet, scientists say. Global average sea levels, for example, were nearly 80 feet higher during the Pliocene than that are today, while the global average temperature was about 7 Fahrenheit above pre-industrial era. Studies show that large forests were located in areas of the Arctic that are now home to tundra. Quick Take, the world first passed the 400 ppm threshold in 2013, but took just 8 years to climb toward the 420 ppm mark. It's an indication of how countries are failing so far to bend the emission curve dramatically downward in order to slow and eventually reverse global warming. Peep the slang, the CO2 concentration figures may seem abstract, but they correspond to the risk of tipping points in the climate system that would have profound societal consequences, such as the melting of the West Antarctica ice sheet. Numerous studies show that the lower CO2 concentrations are stabilized, the greater the chances the climate change will be more manageable for society and the planet's natural system. Details the 1.8 ppm rate of increase from 2020 was slightly slower than other recent years, but within the range of natural variability, according to the NOAA senior scientist Pieter Tans. The temporary pandemic-related dent in global carbon emissions got drowned out by natural variations that affect the rate at which carbon builds up in the air. Tan, as well as Ralph Keeling, who oversees the Mauna Loa observation from his post at Scripps, told Axios they were not surprised the pandemic, which caused a global emission cut about 7% in 2020, failed to slow or halt the growth of atmospheric CO2. They each said net carbon emissions have not declined significantly and for long enough to be noticeable. As long as we keep emitting, CO2 will keep going up. And that's what we see, even if we manage to freeze net emissions, Tan said, emphasizing the need to reach net zero emissions as soon as possible. What they're saying, Keelan told Axios that 420 ppm, which the planet is almost certain to exceed next year, is a psychological threshold. He added, we're moving deeper and deeper into a territory we almost certainly never would have wanted to get. Tan emphasized the long-lived nature of CO2, which each molecule lasted in the air for as long as 1,000 years. The terms of human civilization, these emissions are forever, he said, endorsing plans to drive emissions down to net zero as soon as possible. Man, people slang.